Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
Prepare to have your bones chilled and your hairs raised. It's the WacArnold's Brothers Podcast.
Welcome home.
All right.
What's up?
How's it going, my friend?
Doing well. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing great. We're sitting down for another, wonderful laugh-filled episode of the WacArnold's Brothers Podcast.
Yes, sir.
This is officially number 2. Number 2.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Sometimes at my day job, I will have like 2 of the same drinks, and I get so bored at work that I start trying to mess with people. And so I'll have 2 chais, and they're the same size. So I'll put them both up at the same time, and I'll be like, I got Deuce 16-ounce chais right here.
They're probably looking at you like, what the fuck?
The fuck is this boy about? Yeah, I like to say weird things like that. We have a drink right now called the Dusty Rose latte.
Ooh,
so lately I've been sneaking in Dusty Roads.
That's great.
Yeah, I was doing it all day today. I was like, yeah, I got a 12-ounce Dusty Roads latte.
People are like,
slam
wow.
that down, why don't you?
Sadly, that's probably a reference there that just gets lost. They're like,
It does, dude. It does. Especially on people here in Olympia.
That's great.
Their nose is stuck up too high to care about those kind of references. But holy cow, man, it was the movie we had discussed. I don't know, we didn't mention on the last podcast, but we picked, if you can tell by the title, Hot Dogs, The Stuff.
The stuff. Enough is never enough.
Oh my god! Well, yeah, it's like this movie jumps like right in. It was so funny when I was watching it. Like there was the production company intro credits, and then all of a sudden a hard cut to an old man walking up to a white pile of goo, and he just immediately starts eating it.
Right? It's like, this stuff's growing out of the ground. What's the logical idea to do?
Just jam some fingers in there and then jam those fingers in your mouth.
And he's like, he's like eating it, and he's like, whatever that could be, it's mighty good.
I literally wrote that down in my notes because I thought it was so funny. It's mighty good. Dude,
so they find the stuff in the ground and they're like, let's make money off of it.
They immediately want to try and sell it, apparently. And it's this blobby, it looks like marshmallow fluff.
Yeah, it does. It does. Looks like what's that stuff they sell? It's like it is like marshmallow stuff in a jar. I forget the name, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah. It's like I forgot to look up exactly what it was. I was meaning to do that because I was just so interested as to like what they used for some of those shots when they had like a lot of the stuff. But,
right.
Yeah.
So it's like the first scene is after that is like it shows this like family, and there's this little kid, and he discovers this stuff moving in the fridge, and his family doesn't believe him,
Yeah, classic.
Naturally.
Little Jason discovers moving things in the fridge, and their family is like, what are you fucking talking about? His father at one point, I thought it was really funny, like right after this scene. So Jason sneaks down because he's hungry, and that's why he discovers the moving stuff. And his father, tells him something like I don't want to catch you down here again, and like smacks him on the ass and like sends him on his way.
It's so 80s.
And then like shortly after that, he's just like a shot of him just like the dad like eating stuff out of like the carton was like so weird to me.
Right. And then it introduces like the main character of the movie,
Mo.
That's a good. It's played by Michael Moriarty, and he's so amazing in this. He just steals like every scene he's in.
He really does.
And he's a in quote unquote industrial spy.
That was one of my favorite things about this. It's like at the heart of this movie is industrial espionage.
Because he gets. What were you gonna say?
Oh, so he gets introduced in this great scene where it's like a bunch of dusty old white guys like on a yacht drinking brandy and discussing business in the middle of the day.
And like there's a great line before he comes on where they're talking about like how the company bought out Chocolate Chip Charlie's thing and all this stuff, and they're talking about the taste, and one of the guy goes, I suppose we do have to keep the world safe for ice cream.
If only for ice cream.
Right.
Yeah, and I love that. And then Mo comes up on his own speedboat. And like meets the yacht. It's a great sequence, like real power move. But he was like, when he was like introducing himself to the businessman, he was going through and shaking hands, and he was commenting that everybody had sweaty palms, and he sounds so, he's like, one sweaty palm. Oh, he said, but it was, I even wrote it out. It was like, he like literally goes for a second when he's like, ooh, that's two sweaty palms. And it was just like, so he was like, ooh, another sweaty palm, another sweaty palm.
Which is, yeah, he's great.
It was so great. But then, okay, so like you establish in this scene that Mo is, and he makes this the first time he makes the Mo joke, I want to say, where he's like, all my friends call me Mo because when they give me money, I want Mo money.
He says it twice, and the second time it's stuff. He's like, when my friends give me stuff, I always want Mo. It's awesome.
It's just so great. But so, he introduces him. You get like the idea that he's a spy. And they hire him to figure out what the hell is in the stuff, because the stuff, you find out, has just been rushed into production.
Oh, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's taking over other dessert companies in the industry.
Yeah.
and so,
he even goes to like a chemist, and the guy's like, I can't figure it out. It must be like the secret formula with like Coca-Cola.
Yeah, exactly. And then it cuts to the introduction of like probably the next main character, which I'm blanking. Oh my god, I forgot to write her name down.
It's he first refers to her as Miss Kendall, but later it's established that her name's Nicole.
Nicole Kendall. So,
and she's like a
she's like a marketing director or something.
Yeah, she's like an image consultant.
So it cuts from the yacht scene to like these swimsuit, fur coat clad women walking on this runway, eating stuff, and Nicole's directing, and I'm like, yeah, I want to see you enjoy it.
And that's where the jingle comes in, where it's like, one lick is never enough of the stuff.
One lick is never. Oh my god,
it's so catchy. It's just great.
It is. It's ridiculous. And honestly, like I was even thinking about this while watching it. I was like, the simple like the color scheme they went for with the containers and everything. I was like, damn, dude, that shit would sell. Like it would capture people's attention. Like they did a really good job with that. Honestly,
that's like one of the like underlying things of the movie is like this like social commentary on consumerism too,
Absolutely.
But you're right.
And so I think the next like standout kind of part of this, like the scene after this like kind of model scene introducing the marketing aspect and whatnot, is it cuts back to Jason. And he has one of the best scenes in the whole fucking movie here, where he just goes hog wild in the grocery store.
Oh man, he's breaking glass and just like
he's just thrashing all the stuff containers he can see, man.
It's awesome. Like that looked like it had to have been so much fun filming that scene.
Oh yeah, like that kid probably had a ball doing that, dude.
And this is like the first time where it's kind of like shown where people are like addicted to it, where he smashed it all over the ground and people are like running over and eating it,
Yeah, I noticed that, dude. I was like, they didn't draw like that much attention to that aspect in the scene, but it was like it was kind of like this interesting detail that they threw in there. Like, okay, a couple people go over there and like start digging through it.
Yep.
Like, Yeah, and so that's it. You start getting this, like, there's something sinister going on, but
definitely
they really did an interesting job, shockingly, of like sort of like building the spread of this. So like
it's true,
and then all of a sudden, boom, you realize it's everywhere. Okay, so jumping from that scene where Jason goes on this epic rampage in the grocery store.
Yeah.
You get introduced. Mo goes down to try to find the source of all what the stuff is. He
meets up with the guy who like gives him this folder of information, and then this guy gets like killed by his dog, who's like addicted. He's like, he says this line like, "I feed it to my dog too."
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. The dog was stuffed, and so he got the guy.
But like you said, so yeah, he's trying to find this place.
Yeah, and he ends up in the South. I can't remember exactly where the first town is, but that's where he first runs into my favorite character in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, easily.
Chocolate Chip Charlie. Okay.
He's not in it very much, but it's amazing.
I mean, he's a showstopper. Chocolate Chip Charlie.
The first line he says is where he's like, "Are you Chocolate Chip Charlie?" He's like, "Well, I sure as hell." Sorry, I just choked. He's like, "I sure as hell ain't the Kentucky Colonel." But I'm not doing it any justice because
God, dude. It was so good. I mean, like, it's there's this line. He was like, when they were walking and they're discussing the stuff, and he goes, Chocolate Chip Charlie goes, "It must be a side effect of too much dessert." An urge to migrate.
Because they discovered that like all these people moved somewhere else, and this
they all
town's
moved,
abandoned except for like
a couple of people. Really,
they're like, this like scene happens where they're getting like this. They're in a small store, and this guy goes behind, and they think he's dead. And his mouth's like hanging wide open, and the stuff creeps out the window. The effects in this movie are grade A.
The effects are, well, that's why I was like I made a note of that. Like I was like they used like some green screen in this. That I know, like you have to take into account this is 85.
Yeah.
But I was like that on top of like some of the actual like other FX they did, like it was like a shockingly cool thing that they did with just like white gelatinous goo.
I remember watching a documentary about like a scene later in the hotel where they like filmed it upside down.
What?
But anyway, so they get chased off and they like stumble upon a boat. And I love that scene where he bashes the guy's head in, and it's like it kind of looks like some of the effects from The Thing, where it's like his face is all it's cool.
Yeah, I agree with you. That kind of popped out to me a little bit throughout this movie. It was like, it really reminded me kind of John Carpenter's The Thing a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
And Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like, with the idea of like the stuff taking over people. But there was like that scene. You're right. Like when they're getting chased, is really like he pops a dude in the jaw, and the dude's like entire face like
collapses,
just collapses inside his side. I was like, damn, Mo's strong.
So and then it's great because so they go to the diner and they split up, and he sends Chocolate Chip Charlie to DC, and then like the very next scene, I think it must be the next day, but it doesn't even tell where he's at. But now it's like the people behind the stuff are onto him because he's walking, and in broad daylight, this girl like she pulls out a walkie-talkie. She's like, "He's coming."
The stuff, man. It's like labeled and everything. It's got the logo colors on it. It just straight up, and you're right, dude. Broad daylight just tries to run Mo down in the middle of the street.
It's great.
They're onto him now, man. Yeah, that was nuts. God, there's so much random shit that happens, because there's some hard cuts in this movie where it'll just go from like one scene to the next, and you're just like, oh wow, okay.
Which is cool. Like
it definitely.
Because then it cuts to that to where he's like talking to like the main guy that runs the company. Mm-hmm. And he like admits that he knows how addictive it is, but he knew that he'd like make millions off of it, so who gives a fuck? you know?
Well, and again, that's kind of where this like interesting sort of commentary comes in, where it
Definitely.
really does. It talks about, like it's commenting on like how, the process we go through, and like it's they even reference like why, like later in the movie at some point, like why is this have to deal with the FDA, but this can just be shelved, It's
True. Yeah.
It's just,
it's like they're taking shots at. Yeah, it's true.
It's interesting. Although there is this one scene later, and I mean, I'm just gonna talk like where they wax poetic about like processed food for a second.
Oh, yeah, it's so great.
It was just like,
oh man,
that was where the message went too far, I think.
Yeah, or he's like, well, there's living things in yogurt and there's living things in yeast, but we still eat it.
Oh my god. Okay, so then the three main characters ended up meeting up in this the weirdest way. So you have Jason, you have Mo, and you have Nicole, right? Jason is like discovering, there's this epic scene where he replaces the stuff that his family wants him to eat with shaving cream.
It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. Like,
it's got this interesting creepy vibe to it, really.
Totally. Oh man, his family are like, it shows where they've thrown away all their food and all they're eating is the stuff. And they're like, well, we don't have to worry about this anymore because we're eating the stuff. It's creepy.
Yeah, it was just kind of sinister. And so eventually they discover that he's just like shoveling shaving cream into his mouth. And he like, I was like, kudos to that kid, because he was like eating spoonfuls at the table there for a second. And, but they chase him basically, they're like, they go after him. And it's somehow Mo ends up like
picking him up. Yeah, he swoops him up and flees him away to safety.
Yeah, and I kept just thinking, like, I mean, I get that the parents and the family are all stuffed, but like, I was like, reality is like this guy just like whisked this kid away to like a different state in a private jet. Because that's what happens. He picks up Jason, and then they immediately go to the airport where Nicole's waiting for them with this private jet.
This like lavish jet. Did you notice in the scene where he's throwing the stuff into the toilet seat? Did you notice what the shower curtain was?
No. What was?
It was a super cool Return of the Jedi shower curtain.
Oh,
I was like,
dude,
I want that.
I need that in my life. Yeah, oh man.
Oh, and Mo has such a great line because the kid gets in the car and throws up and tells him about it, and Mo's like, everybody has to eat shaving cream once in a while. Like, what the fuck?
Mo just has a way of making everybody feel better,
Oh, he's amazing.
It's just like he just has this like drawl, like like that. Just it makes him sound like equally dumb, but like relaxed, and it kind of just works.
There's even that line at the beginning where the guy's like, "You're not as dumb as you look," or I forget what the line is, but he's
he's like, nobody's as dumb as I look.
Yeah, there you go.
But that was it, and like that's kind of one of the funny things about it. If you think about it, it's like that was actually just like really supposed to be an intentional disarming thing for that character.
True.
So it's like it kind of works.
But then, like you said, like there's all these hard cuts, but then the next part of the movie is kind of like the bulk of like the movie where they go to the plant.
Mm-hmm. They could do like a tour of the plant with
right.
And
meanwhile, Jason is off on his own.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So they bring Jason down to Georgia with them, right?
Right.
And then they're immediately like, all right, you just hang out here with this pilot, and we're gonna go do some stuff.
Who immediately gets killed by the stuff. Yeah, the pilot, not the kid. Yeah. He escapes.
And then the kid just like runs off and like ends up in a quarry, or like
the quarry. Yeah.
And so he's just off doing his own fucking thing.
I mentioned earlier about like
the motel room.
Yeah, which is they go to this motel, which you could have saw this coming because it's like they got set up to stay there by the people from the stuff. Mm-hmm. But that scene is so cool where it comes out of the pillow.
It is.
And like the guy runs in out of nowhere and it engulfs him and throws him against the wall.
Yeah. And it just keeps on like growing. It's just,
it's awesome.
It is such a cool sequence. That was probably my like probably my favorite sequence in the there's one other one that stood out to me, but that was a really cool, like
it was awesome how they did that.
But oh my god, the part of that scene though, Mo gets some stuff on his face and it's like suffocating him, and so Nicole immediately jumps to, well, I'll burn it, and it's like, it's like on his fucking face, dude. And she just splashes a bunch of oil on his head and lights it on fire, and
there's, if you think that's gnarly,
there's no way.
Because now that would just be like CGI, but back then, like, that was a real stuntman under there with his fucking face on fire.
Absolutely, dude. And that's one of the things that, like, CGI has gotten a lot better, but like just the gnarliness of like that stunt person doing that.
God.
Just think about that. Like, what did you do today at work? Oh, I got my face lit on fire.
This is one of those movies that makes me realize how much I love practical effects, because like movies today don't really use it. Like, there's certain like horror directors that'll still use practical effects, but it's like a dying art. It's really sad.
I agree. I wish that wouldn't become like the niche thing to do. I wish that was still the mainstream thing to do. Like, it's too bad CGI is so much cheaper in comparison, apparently. Or maybe it's less dangerous. I don't know. Yeah. Either way, the stuff pulled it off.
So meanwhile, while they're getting attacked in the hotel, Jason decided it'd be a good idea to hide in one of the trucks, like, that's gonna like eventually get filled with stuff.
Yeah, he's just dicking around about all these tanker trucks, and he's just like, I'm just gonna hide inside this big empty tank, and he gets closed in there. And the thing is, like I feel like he's in there for a good while.
It's true.
Just in general during this next sequence, because there's all of that, and then there's like okay, so he gets trapped in there. They eventually start, oh my god, where am I at?
So they steal the truck, and they drive to like the quarry where it's, no, that's later. So they go to the quarry where it's coming out of the ground, and in total 90s cartoon show fashion happens to just have one of the yellow like jumpsuits.
Well, and Nicole's character comments on it. She's like, oh, I can see why you saved that and not my pocketbook.
So yeah, he plants the C4, and they stage this, like, he steals the truck and all this shit. I swear that like part of Nicole and Jason were only in that movie to serve as like fodder for him to save, because he saves them a bunch of times.
Yeah, like multiple times. I agree. Like there really wasn't like much of a need for, especially Jason's character after a certain point. It seemed like.
It's true.
So he steals. So Mo infiltrates the tanker.
It's a great
truckers.
sequence. Yeah.
He discovers that Jason's been trapped in this tank that is now being filled with the stuff, and he steals that truck. Takes him a little while to pull over and pull Jason out, but
true.
Yeah, that sequence is so great, but the explosion from those two tiny C4s was epic. Like, he blew the wall fucking down in that quarry with these like two tiny things. I was wondering what they were, because like when he's like gearing up with his yellow jumpsuit, he's like takes the time to strap these little like fake rock bombs on his ankle.
It's great. It's like, where the hell did he get that?
It was just something Mo carries around on a regular, just in case industrial espionage needs.
So, yeah, and then Colonel Spears comes into play, who also has some great lines.
Oh my god, Colonel Spears. Colonel Spears was like a what the fuck character. Like, I'm glad they saved him for the end, because it definitely was like this interesting dynamic. So Mo, Nicole, and Jason end up driving to this random like castle out in like a field in Georgia somewhere, and there's like all of a sudden like a bunch of like a squadron of army dudes with assault rifles, and Mo walks up and then like starts talking to this Colonel Spears individual, who
is a conspiracy theorist like guy.
Yeah, he's like off the deep end conspiracy theorist sort of dude who is like, like commies are getting in everywhere, and the thing is, what gets me is the way that Mo like gets the Colonel to help him out with his stuff problem.
Right.
Was that he blackmails him over having like video or something of him with like a 17-year-old black
girl. Yeah. Because it establishes later that he's like racist, you know?
Yeah. He calls later on, he calls like Chocolate Chip Charlie like a colored commie or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, I'll let the colored guy speak.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, dude. Like, but yeah, so Colonel Spears is off the deep end, and Mo convinces him that like just like fluoride in the water, the stuff has been pumped into everybody. And so, you know, he's like, all right, let's fucking gear up and let's go blow up the stuff factory. And that's the next sequence. So
which is another great sequence.
Well, actually, okay. So first, when they're right before they leave the castle compound, there's this brief moment where the Colonel creeps on Nicole, super tough, and he's like,
God,
he like says this line is so bad. He's like, yeah, well, something like, you can reward me afterward or something that. And Mo goes, well, Colonel, I think you're interceding with my lady or something like that. You know,
and the Colonel's like, don't worry, you'll probably be a casualty.
Yeah. Pats him on the back and says, you'll probably fucking die. Like,
you're gonna die, and I'm gonna sexually assault your woman. So.
It was so strange. I was like, God, the Colonel's weird.
Which thankfully doesn't happen. But
yeah, it doesn't happen, thank God. But so it jumps to them basically assaulting the stuff factory.
Yeah.
With like a squadron full of soldiers, and like there's this part where the Colonel shoots a security guard and he's like, stuff is oozing out of him. He's like,
it's so awesome.
He said something like, I'm used to blood, but this stuff's like, what? Oh man, I wish I would have wrote it down. But he's like, this stuff's nasty or something like that.
I love how like they go to the factory and all the people that work there like enable this like suicide pack essentially, where they're like, follow out, like we train for this, you know.
Exactly. It's so weird. They get in the factory floor and there's like bodies already everywhere, and it's this strange vibe. So they assault the factory, and then they realize, what was it? They basically were like we have to get the message out. And so
because I love the part like where the stuff starts seeping through the factory and they have to escape, and I don't know how they did this shot, but it like busts this fucking wall completely open and kills like 7 army guys.
That's fucking right, man. Yeah, and so basically, they take down the factory, and then they realize that it's a bigger problem than this, and so. Conveniently, Colonel Spears owns a couple of radio stations in Atlanta.
Yeah. They're just like hopping around the fucking USA at this point. They're like...
And that was the thing. So like the next sequence is them basically like flying to Atlanta, and they unload like an entire squadron of soldiers off of 2 private airplanes, and they like it's anytime you see like a shot of the squad of all the soldiers, they're just like, for some reason, like they're unloading off the plane and they're all yelling like, ah! And so they probably one of my favorite little interactions in this whole movie, the Colonel and I think like Nicole or maybe somebody else, they run up to this taxi right after getting off the airplane. And they go up to the taxi driver is standing there, and he goes, "What is this, World War III?" And the Colonel,
this is the best line.
And the Colonel just goes, "Just get us to 4th and Main right away. No more of your liberal remarks." I was dying, dude.
Dude. I forgot about that line, and I was almost in tears. Like that's the way he delivers it. It's just so great.
It's just so great. I was just like, oh my God, this guy.
So yeah, they're like, they decide on this master plan to go to Atlanta and broadcast to everybody about the threat of the stuff.
Yeah.
This is one of the next like great scenes in the movie with Chocolate Chip Charlie.
Oh man, when he like shows up, and that was great. He shows up at one, and he's like walking through these soldiers, walking up the stairs, and he's like, he's like talking about their guns and stuff. He's like, get out of my way, get that shit out. Like, you know, and he makes
like, my hands are registered weapons.
For the second time in this movie, he lets you know that his hands are registered weapons. But he takes it even further here. He goes, these hands are registered weapons with the military police. He gets like really specific there.
I forgot the name of the actor, but he's been in a lot of other like lower budget horror movies, and he always delivers.
Yeah, I mean, he just brought some energy to the scenes that he was in.
Totally,
it was so cool. But yeah, I just love that he just randomly reappeared. At first, I was like, okay, wait, are they just doing it to wrap up like everybody's okay? But,
I know.
You know, which would have been cool, but so they have this plot. They got the marketing director Nicole's writing a script to like, that'll be like acceptable for the public to understand, and like they're starting to talk about having Charlie, be on the airwaves
because it establishes earlier that like his company got taken out from underneath him.
That's right. I forgot to mention that earlier. So he apparently his nephews and his brother who stocks in Chocolate Chip Charlie's cookie business, like sold out behind his back and
screwed him
out of his cookies. So
what we're talking about, the next scene I think is one of the most iconic scenes of the movie, but the first time you watch it, it's so unexpected. It's just so great.
So one, Colonel Spears reluctantly lets a quote unquote colored commie or whatever speak on his airwaves.
Right.
But before that can even happen, and this was one of the best visual effects in the movie.
Oh, for sure.
Was they basically Charlie starts having this like freak out, and then all of a sudden he starts transforming, and you find that he's stuffed with stuff.
Yeah, his mouth like just opens super wide, and the stuff it's just so cool, and then his face just like falls apart into pieces on the ground.
It was great. Such a cool sequence. Like that was, I wrote it down like with like extra exclamation points. I was like, that was my favorite sequence of the movie, that and then, the hotel.
But I love how like Jason just like stumbles into the room, and like here we are, Jason and Nicole are in peril yet again.
Yet again. And so as the stuff is oozing out of Chocolate Chip Charlie, and like trying to like consume Jason and Nicole, Mo comes to the rescue, breaks this glass down out of the radio station window, and shoots a cable so it splits in half.
Yeah.
And then I want to make a note. He shoots this cable, and the way it looks in the shot is completely different than the wires that the Colonel then hands him in the next scene.
It's which are like, so comically oversized.
Yeah, exactly. It's like these gigantic frayed ends of this cable.
Yeah.
And he just starts like electrocuting the stuff with it. And he like while he's like zapping them with the cables, he's like, Margie, give it all the juice or something like that. And oh my god, dude, like I was dying there because I was just like, this is just such a ridiculous, like of course it's just like it's that simple, just electrocute them, we got this. But yeah,
so it works, their plan works. It shows Nicole, and she's like, it's like sometime in the future, whatever, and she's like basically like
the weeks that follow.
Yeah, she narrates this whole thing, and it shows all these different scenes of people like burning all the stuff, and they blow up a fucking building.
Yeah, that was it. It was like she's like, people learned how to like deal with it and get rid of the stuff and blah blah blah, and it was just this like sequence of like things on fire and buildings burning and like awesome. That one getting blown up, and it's just like
next to a McDonald's, and it just gets fucking blown to smithereens.
Just boom. and then it transitions into the end scene.
Oh, this end scene is so great.
It was juicy. So it's Mo in this classic like private detective sort of look with his trench coat and his collar kind of popped, and he's returning to the office of that he was in the beginning, near the beginning of the movie, talking to the guy that owns the business.
Right. And then in walks in.
Oh, what
he's in cahoots with the guy from the beginning that originally hired him,
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, and he's like they're both commenting like, so I bet you spend our money and or whatever. But so basically it just becomes this slow build up into Mo introducing Jason, who he's still rolling around with.
Yeah.
And this was like the dark twist to the scene, right? So like basically Mo and Jason are just going around, seems like, and getting revenge.
Right.
And at gunpoint, Jason and Mo make these two old men eat like as much stuff as they could.
Well, that's because like right before that, they both like unveil this plot where they're bringing back the stuff.
That's right.
But now it's going to be called The Taste.
The Taste.
No one's going to know any different.
Yeah. And they cut it. They cut it with dairy products.
That's right. I like how you mentioned the point where he's pointing a gun. I love, like, it's one of the last great lines in the movie. He's like, what's he say? I thought I wrote it down. Damn it.
Okay, so I don't know if this is what it is, but there's this when he's like he has the gun out finally, and one of the old business guys is like, "You gonna shoot us in front of the kid?" And then it cuts to Jason, and he goes, "Like you said, I've seen a lot, or like I've been through a lot."
Yeah, that's right.
So Jason's just a little badass now, and they also build it up like here where they make it really like heavy, where like Mogo is talking about, he's like, he's lost his family and like everything to the stuff,
Right. It's so grim.
But
and then what were you gonna say?
Oh, one of my favorite lines that happened in this scene, though, I don't know if this is what it was, but he asked them he asked the old guys while they're eating stuff, "Are you eating it, or is it eating you?"
Eating you. So great. And then it's just like, they make them eat like a box full of it, and at this point they're like, I think one thing also that I forgot to mention earlier is that there's also like a social commentary on addiction, because like they're both sitting there just like frantically trying to find what little bit of stuff they can at the end of the bottom of the jugs, which, like, having been an addiction myself, I know what it's like to like try to find like a little small piece to get high, and it's like that part really like that got to me where I was like, damn.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're stuffies now.
They're stuffies now. Yeah, it was an interesting, and even like the very, very last scene where
it's so
like
awesome.
It's like you're basically just witnessing this back alley stuff deal going down. Like,
it's a shady, like, these would be like crooks that would get like quickly dispatched by Spider-Man or something.
No, you know what this reminded me of was like when they stopped allowing Four Loko to have caffeine in it.
Oh God.
Way back when. And so people like were hoarding pallets or trying to get as much caffeinated Loco as they could.
I remember that.
And then selling it behind, like right back. That's what the stuff situation was. I was like, oh man.
The movie just ends on this like open-ended thing where it's like, these crooks that have like perhaps the last shipment ever of the stuff, It
was great, man. Like this movie was just so fan. Like I was laughing at like so much during this, but I was also like there's some moments that were genuinely like cool visual effects, and it underlying has this like interesting message that still kind of holds up.
Definitely.
Which was really cool. So honestly, this was a really enjoyable watch. So
it's a fantastic, and I really do think it's like an underrated. It doesn't get mentioned or brought up enough. It's a fantastic movie. And Larry Cohen, like, who directed and wrote it, he was one of those like staples of like low budget horror, and
yeah, I made a note of that like right off the gate too. I was like, Larry Cohen. Oh man, yeah, this is good. This is a great watch. I definitely recommend to any hot dogs listening that you should definitely take some time and watch the stuff if you're looking for something.
It's a quick like it's like an hour and
hour and a half, hour 39 minutes or something like that.
But it goes quick because like you said, the movie just picks up and just
exactly.
It's great.
Yeah. All right, so we gotta wrap up this episode before the Zoom Lords come after us. But I know, right? But we already picked the next movie. Let everybody know what it is, David?
So the next movie that we're going to be talking about is part of a franchise, and the first one came out in the 80s. It was Silent Night, Deadly Night. But anyway, they keep making all these sequels that really go off the rails. Culminating in Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker, which is amazing.
The Toy Maker.
It's it's awesome.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait for this one. There you have it, hot dogs. The next episode will be Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker.
Looking forward to it.
Watch it before you listen to the podcast or watch it after. Doesn't matter.
Either way, just watch it.
Just fucking watch it. Oh, and listen to the podcast.
Well, that's the most importantly.
Yes, because they're there. All right,
well,
my friend.
Real quick, once again, thanks again for having me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm so I've been talking about this particular podcast project all week with people.
That's cool.
I'm really excited about this one. It's something I've been wanting to get off the ground. So I'm glad that we're rolling it out for everybody.
Hell yeah, me too.
Yeah, because it definitely wouldn't that's the thing, man. This shared love is of these kind of movies. It's it's I don't know. Not everybody digs the old time, I guess we'll call them visual effects and the cheesiness.
Oh, it's the best.
And so like I said, man, this is such a it's a podcast I look forward to recording it.
Me too.
You know what I mean? But all right, hot dogs. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you listen to this. I try really hard with that kind of stuff,
All right, you can tell.
All right, David. We will see everybody on the next episode.
Yes, sir.